Right, so on Friday, South Africa will mark Women's Day as a reminder of the contributions that women make to society, as well as a time to reflect on the advances in women's rights. Now, it was on the 9th of August 1956 that a group of women began a campaign to bring an end to the past laws enforced by the apartheid government. This year's official Women's Day celebrations will be commemorated in the Northern Cape. And so for more on this, we're going to be speaking to the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities Director General, Adv Joyce Maluleke, via Teams. Advocate Joyce, good morning, and thank you for your time on the SABC at this hour.
Good morning, and good morning to the listeners.
DG, at this point on the passing of Mam Connie, perhaps I could get your opening comments, your opening remarks on the passing of the multi-award-winning and legendary actress Mam Connie Chiume.
I think people always ask, why are you celebrating Women's Month? Why do you continue celebrating Women's Day? It's because the history of these women, these stalwarts, should never be forgotten, because what we are grappling with now, they grappled with that time, but also they decided that government must address all the issues that women were complaining about. Hence, we have a constitution that incorporated the Bill of Rights. There are other freedom fighters who fought, but women insisted that the gender equality clause should be included, the equality clause, which also incorporated the gender equality clause. So we commemorate her life.
Thank you for those opening remarks. It is obviously a somber time and moment for the country, the globe at large, having lost a giant in the industry. Perhaps as we even look at our own programs back home, looking at the strides that have been taken and really what citizens can look forward to. Will it be business as usual come the 7th administration, given, where we're headed as a country under this formation of Government of National Unity as well?
It will not be business as usual. The National Government of Unity, the Government of National Unity, has decided on 3 priorities, because sometimes when you have a lot of priorities, then you end up being all over the show. So they've decided on 3 priorities so that they can be able to escalate. Because if there's one thing that I want to indicate is that there has been a lot of development and positive achievements throughout the 1st to the 6th administration. There is no law that discriminates against women. Women are represented in all areas where previously women would not be represented. However, we have to escalate. We have to up the numbers, because if you have few women, it doesn't mean that all women are represented. So there is no discrimination, but also in terms of addressing issue of unemployment. The biggest challenge is that our education system educated people to look for employment. And when you go to other countries, when young persons complete their degrees or matric, they are looking at starting their own business. So vocational education is critical. You look at Germany. Germany is one of the developed countries. It's not all the people in Germany that are going to university. Most of them, they are doing vocational, but they are able to find employment or to be able to start their own businesses. Now, our education system also in terms of being relevant, because sometimes you have young persons who have degrees, but whatever that they have studied is not in demand. So now what we're looking at is to ensure that training, even the sitters and all the others, the training that is provided is industry demand training, so that when they finish, they can get a job or they can be able to start their own business.
What about addressing the societal constructs at large, patriarchy? I'm asking this because whilst we're looking at those triple threats that you've alluded to on the ground, the way it's translated, how can women, from the department seek advice about GBVF cases, discrimination, sexual harassment, just some of those cases that obviously have come to the fore, and perhaps the department becoming more forthcoming, being more forthcoming with information, with that education, with training programs in languages that speak to our people at large?
Gender-based violence cannot be eradicated by the criminal justice system only.
Yes.
The eradication of gender-based violence requires prevention, and prevention is where every member of the community, every member of the family, every member of the community, every councillor and everyone being involved in addressing gender-based violence. So as a department, we have launched in KZN, because KZN is one of the provinces that 6 of their districts were in the top 30 that was identified by the Minister of Police as the hotspot for gender-based violence. We are launching a program called Treating Gender-Based Violence as a Pandemic, because during the pandemic, resources were allocated, but everyone was involved in ensuring that they are not infected by COVID. So we're saying even gender-based violence, everyone in the economy must play a role. One of the other things that we've identified is the collapse of the family structure, because violence happens within the family, but also the lack of the skills of parenting. Many parents don't know how to parent, because that's why you get children, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, they're in the shebeen drinking alcohol. Some of the children, 14-year-olds, they're raped and killed at the shebeen at night. So we are not blaming parents, but we've identified it as one of the weaknesses where we need to help parents to be able to parent. So we are partnering with the Department of Social Development in order to train communities on effective parenting. If you have effective parenting, then the parents will raise a young person who doesn't discriminate against the other children within the house, so patriarchy won't exist. But a child who understands that you don't solve problems by violence, but also a young person who will be so confident that if a girlfriend says, "I no longer want you," he'll be able to say, "It's your loss. You can't do better than me," rather than say, "If I can't have you, no one will have you," and kill that child. So the issue of addressing gender-based violence and of promoting equality is the responsibility of everyone in the community. But
absolutely.
Also, earlier on, got to respond that.
No, absolutely, DG. I actually wanted to get further in on that point, just in lieu of what's happened with, Miss South Africa. You're speaking about addressing inequality. You're speaking about addressing discrimination, stereotypes, Afrophobia. These are all, some of the systemic issues that stem from and really impact women at large. And what's come to the fore through this instance, through that Miss South Africa pageant and the discrimination with Chidima as well. What lessons can be learned? How do we also learn, take the lessons learned from 1956?
I think with Miss South Africa, the starting point is Home Affairs has developed laws. If there's one thing that the South Africans should know is that a woman can pass citizenship to her children. It's no longer like before 1994, where the law said the child follows the citizenship of the father. Because of Section 9 of the Constitution, the law can't discriminate on the basis of gender. If the mother is South African, then the child is South African. But now, what has been said in the media, I've not investigated. Home Affairs is the one that should investigate, was that she's of Mozambican descent. So if she has not attained full citizenship of South Africa, it is the law that could deny her to participate. But if her mother is South African, I don't see anything wrong, because the law allows her to be able to participate.
All right, thank you for those remarks. I think it's just also looking at, what is reflected in society at large when it comes to how we address women and deal with these social issues. It's really coming to the fore once again during this Women's Month. But beyond the programs, the gains as well, perhaps we're also looking at how this is going to extend well beyond this month. Adv Joyce Maluleke, let's leave that conversation there for now. And thank you for your time on the SABC at this hour. And forget Joyce Maluleke, of course, is the Director General of Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, weighing in